Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS. Continuing on college football week 6, Big Ten matchup here. Iowa's on the road in Columbus to play Ohio State. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWAS. The SWAS. SWAS. Hey, get the SWAS.
All right, like I said, we got the Hawkeyes on the road here. Ohio State laying 19.5 or 20 or 20.5, depending on your sportsbook. Line's been bouncing around a little bit. Total sitting at 44.5. Here are the pie charts according to this data that I don't trust. Action's coming in on Iowa. Over 65% of the tickets, over 75% of the money. But as I always say, take this data with a grain of salt. So let's get into this matchup, and we'll start with the Iowa offense, the new Iowa offense. Brian Ferentz is obviously gone. They've been running the ball a lot, 12th in run frequency on the season, and they've been doing a good job of it. They're actually 10th in the country in yards per carry, 36th in success rate, 21st in effective rush. Keep in mind, this Iowa team has seen Iowa State and Minnesota. That's two very legitimate defenses, and they were still able to run the ball. So this Iowa rushing attack might be a problem. But first, let's talk about the passing numbers, or the lack thereof. Look at the bottom part of this graphic, 129th in yards per pass attempt, 123rd in effective pass. The crazy part is that's actually an improvement because they were 134th last season. So I guess shout out to Iowa for jumping 11 spots from 134 to 123 in terms of a passing attack. The season started off with so much promise, right? I mean, Cade McNamara came out. It was against Illinois State, I think, but he made some throws, and Iowa put up a big number in the second half, and we were all like, whoa, look out, Iowa might be able to throw the ball this year. Since then, it's been a struggle. In the last 3 games since that one, Iowa's averaging just 113 passing yards per game, 4.7 yards per attempt. So, look, as far as running the ball, thumbs up for Iowa. But passing the ball, not so much. It's looking like the same old Iowa in terms of passing attack. And you're crazy if you think this team's going to throw the ball on the road in Columbus, because this Ohio State defense is a problem. They're 8th in DFVI, 2nd in the country in yards per play allowed, 9th in success rate, 1st in PPA. Been a lead against the run, a lead against the pass. They're allowing just 6.8 points per game, 23.7% opponent success rate on defense. That is wild. That's video game numbers. Ohio State's defense looks like a problem. That being said, we got to question the strength of schedule a little bit. We did see Aiden Childs play Ohio State last week, and it was the first time Ohio State has seen any sort of offensive talent this year. They've had a very easy schedule so far. They finally see a quarterback who can play. Granted, it's a freshman. He did make some plays. Aiden Childs was 13 of 19, 167 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 149 passer rating. I mean, he didn't have a great game, but a 149 passer rating against Ohio State, I mean, he was able to be somewhat effective. That being said, Aiden Childs is a lot more talented than Cade McNamara, and I'm a little worried about these numbers right here, the pass rush. Ohio State, 17th in pass rush grade, 2nd in sack rate, 25th in pressure rate. Not that Iowa's offensive line is bad. They're sitting at 20th in pass blocking grade, 68th in sack rate allowed, 52nd in pressure rate allowed. I mean, they have played a much stronger schedule than Ohio State has. But that Ohio State pass rush is coming. And Cade McNamara has struggled when pressured. I mean, he struggled when not pressured as well. You could see QB rating, yards per attempt take a huge dip when pressured. So I'm going to double down on this sentiment. I was going to really struggle to throw the ball here. But what about the run game? Iowa on the season is averaging over 250 rushing yards a game and almost 6 yards per carry. 48.4% rushing success rate. That is very impressive. And yeah, Ohio State's got an elite run defense. They're allowing just 1.84 yards per carry. I get it. 61.8 rushing yards allowed per game for Ohio State. But against who? According to effective rush rankings on Sharp College Football, the strongest rushing attack that Ohio has seen so far this year is Marshall at 63rd. Iowa's 21st, and they've played, as we mentioned before, a couple tough defenses here. They're 10th in the country in yards per carry. We just saw them go on the road to Minnesota, a defense we know to be good. That's a tough defensive front. They averaged 6 yards per carry in the game, 272 yards rushing. They ran the ball all over Minnesota in Minnesota. So look, I'm not saying Iowa's going to go on the road into Columbus and light the scoreboard up. Of course not. That's crazy. But don't be surprised if I was able to move the chains here and there on the ground. This is a very good rushing attack that's seen some very tough defenses. So I actually expect Iowa to get the run game working a little bit here. But what about the other side? The Ohio State offense been pretty balanced so far. 76th in run frequency, 59th in pass frequency. Will Howard's been great. 1039 passing yards, 9.9 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks. But again, we have to ask, against who? I mean, look at Ohio State's opponents so far. These are their DFEI ratings. Akron 130th, Western Michigan 122nd, Marshall 73rd, Michigan State 49th. Michigan State's defense has actually been a little bit surprising. They've got a couple good linebackers there. They look pretty good, but none of those teams are comparable to Iowa's defense. This is one of the best defenses in the country. They're 7th in DFEI, elite against the run, 10th in yards per carry, 3rd in effective rush. I mean, Iowa has 2 of the best linebackers in the country on the inside there. So this is an elite defense, about as good as it gets when it comes to defense in the FBS. Now, to me, this matchup between Ohio State's offense and Iowa's defense comes down to the passing attack, because Iowa, in terms of defensive front, stopping the run, it's as good as it gets in the FBS. But we have seen some teams throw the ball in Iowa a little bit. I mean, 6.7 yards per pass attempt allowed, 210.8 passing yards per game allowed. I mean, 33.4 success rate is still elite for Iowa's defense. This is obviously a great pass defense, but we saw Rocco Beck making some plays in the Iowa State game in the second half, so they are capable of getting beat through the air. The question is, are they going to be able to pressure Will Howard? Because when Will Howard has a clean pocket, he makes you pay for it. You can see in this graphic right here, when pressured, QB rating takes a dip, yards per pass attempt takes a dip. So can Iowa get pressure here? And I'm not sure. I mean, Iowa's defense, in terms of stopping the run, I'm all in. You have my support. But in terms of a pass rush, I mean, they're 25th in sack rate, but just 75th in pressure rate generated, 67th in pass rush win rate. Ohio State's offensive line is obviously great. Great in creating space in the rushing attack, great in pass protection. So I don't know if we can count on Iowa's pass rush getting there, which means Will Howard is going to have opportunities to make plays with his arm. Here's the thing. What happened last time we saw Will Howard go up against an elite defense? It was week 14 last year against Iowa State. 24-48, 288 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a 103 passer rating. He really struggled. Now, to be fair to Will Howard, we've definitely seen him have big games against elite defenses before. I mean, he played great in the Texas game last year. So I'm not saying, Will Howard can't perform against elite defenses. But I will say, we've also seen Will Howard really struggle against elite defenses. So, look, Will Howard's going to have opportunities. Can he make the plays or not? You use your judgment. In terms of running the football, though, obviously, Ohio State on the season is averaging over 7 yards per carry. It's been unstoppable. But they finally see a defense that's somewhat decent. I mean, Michigan State's not a great defense. They're not terrible. 5.29 yards per carry. So we already see the numbers start coming back down to earth now that they're starting to see some defenses. This is Iowa. This is probably the best run defense in the country. 2.41 yards per carry allowed, just 62 rushing yards allowed per game this season. Elite. And unlike Ohio State, Iowa's played some tough games already. On the road in Minnesota, they also played Iowa State. In those 2 games, 2.45 yards per carry allowed, 51.5 rushing yards per game allowed. So like I said earlier, when it comes to Iowa's run defense, I'm in. It's impressive. I can trust it, which is why I took the points here. I took Iowa plus 20.5. Will Howard will have opportunities to make plays with his arm. Maybe he makes them. Maybe Ohio State ends up covering the number. But I think Iowa's defense is able to make enough plays. And I also expect Iowa to be able to run the ball a little bit. Maybe put some threes on the board. I also like the under in this game. But the bet I placed, Iowa plus 20.5. Keep in mind, college football's been rough for me this year. Definitely having trouble getting a grasp on it. So tail responsibly, but I am on Iowa plus 20.5 here. If you'd like to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see all mine as well as everyone on the staff here. Also, if you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 on one of these trophies go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Let's have ourselves a good week 6 here. I need one. I mean, NFL's been good to me, but college football, man, need to turn this around. Live show is Saturday morning, 10 a.m. up to kickoff. We'll be live for 2 straight hours. Go through as many games as we can. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Be sure to bet responsibly. Talk to you later.